So let's kick it off with the first play. Chris, can you share how exactly you're making the onboarding experience so easy for your team and your partners?
For sure. So at Gorgias, anytime we start to use any tool or operate a specific process, it's really important that we build a robust playbook so that anytime a new employee joins Gorgias, they can pick up that playbook and have full context on what the tool does, the value, and ultimately how to use it properly. And so in the early days, I built an internal playbook for how to use Crossbeam effectively. And then through a lot of conversations with partners, I realized, I can get a lot more value out of our partnership if I teach them how to use Crossbeam the same way that we're using it. So I thought, okay, I'll just convert this playbook that I've already built for our internal use to be partner facing, changing the language up, adding some new, a few new sections, and then creating this white paper that you're essentially seeing on the screen here, where we're distributing this to partners to teach them how to use it the same way that we use it at Gorgias.
How has this helped kind of speed up the process for your partners?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll just give you an example. So we'll get on a call with a potential new partner, for instance, and one of the first things we want to do is size up the opportunity for the partnership. We'll ask, the now famous question, are you on Crossbeam, which most people are. They'll probably say, oh yeah, like we just started using it. We haven't really figured it out just quite yet. And then I'm like, okay, great. Let me give you this playbook that we've built to, literally teach you how to use it. And then, so it's been welcomed with open arms. And so now partners are onboarding and the time to value for the partnership has been greatly decreased because now partners are, and I've also have like a 30-minute presentation recording that's baked inside of that playbook, so they can also just
Oh,
watch a
wow.
presentation as well. So yeah, it's made a big impact.
Yeah, it sounds like it. One of the things that you had mentioned to me and I really loved is you have kind of promoted this playbook as a benefit for your partners in your newsletter. Can you share, how you've helped get them excited and how you framed the playbook for them initially?
Yeah, for sure. So I mentioned, on partner calls, that's definitely a nice distribution channel for, teaching partners and promoting the playbook that we've built. Other avenues is like you're seeing on the screen here. So we run a monthly newsletter to 150 plus tech partners that we work with at Gorgias, and some of the highlights we include in that are company and product updates, partnership updates, but also any cool playbooks that we've cooked up that we want to share to spread the wealth. And so here's an example of when we were promoting the Crossbeam playbook. And we track the clicks on all those links like any good marketer does. And that post you're seeing right there got a ton of engagement. We also included a link to invite us to partner on Crossbeam, which led to a tremendous surge in the amount of partners who wanted to work with us on Crossbeam. So yeah, just the overall theme there is if you build a cool playbook that can be applied to your partners and ultimately help strengthen the overall partnership, then it's important that you distribute that.
Play number two, walk us through this simple two-step referral exchange process. Can you start us off with step one?
For sure. So anyone who's engaged in this referral exchange, and for those who maybe aren't fully familiar with this process, the idea is, once you sign the NDA and you're under terms where you can share customer data, ideally you're using a tool like Crossbeam to make this even easier. Your goal is to identify a segment of each other's customer base, an agreed upon number, maybe it's 10, maybe it's 25, where you think they're a perfect fit for your business, and you're really looking for your partner to broker or usher an introduction to you. So obviously you can book them towards a demo. This is a cumbersome process before Crossbeam existed. So now with Crossbeam, through their reporting and population features, it's really easy to take your partner's customer base. Say they have 1,000 customers, but the challenge is like, look, how do I find the best fits of that 1,000? Obviously, you can't just pick 25 from the lot. You certainly can't just choose the top 25 accounts, say based on expected revenue. You really need to go deeper. And so what Crossbeam makes it really easy to do is to segment and to really drill down on your ideal customer profile to create that target list of accounts, which is going to lead to a higher probability that when you run this like account-based marketing approach, you're going to have a much higher conversion rate on interest by those customers of yours in taking a meeting with you.
Yeah, when you had told me about this initially, you had mentioned all these filters that you're using to narrow down the
Right.
list. Where are those filters coming from, and do you mind sharing what data source you're using for Gorgias?
For sure. Yeah, for sure. So we use HubSpot as our CRM at Gorgias, and what's so great about the out of the box integration with Crossbeam, and they also obviously integrate with Salesforce as well, is basically all the data that we have in our CRM, which is quite extensive. We can pipe that into Crossbeam to make it really easy to apply filters like location. So maybe we want to only target people in North America that are doing greater than 10 million in gross merchandise value, that are on Shopify Plus, right? We have such an enriched CRM with our HubSpot instance that it makes it really easy for us to translate that into Crossbeam in the exact same way. To again take a list of say 1,000 customers of our partners and drill that down to a list of 10 that are really qualified and a good fit for us to be speaking with.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So why don't you go ahead and walk us through what happens next? You have the list, then what?
Yeah, got it. So it's really easy to get buy-in from partners to say, hey, like we want to reach out to like an agreed upon number of accounts for each other and see if they're open to an intro. Like everybody loves that and they're excited. But where things fall flat for most people, and I'm sure partner managers and partnership personnel in the audience are agreeing with this, is things fall flat when it's actually time to execute. No surprise. And a big friction that you see is expecting the partner to do too much. And so we take the approach at Gorgias in our partnership function that you need to remove all barriers essentially to get buy-in from partners to execute. And so a good example here is like, look, we'll identify the target accounts that we're interested in based on the ICP, ideal customer profile that you provide us. We'll also identify target accounts that are customers of ours that are probably a good fit for you based on the criteria you provide for us. So we're literally building a list of targets for you to review. And then to go a step further, we've built out 2 sets of email copy templates that we can use. The first email copy is reaching out. So we've identified accounts to reach out to. We'll give our partners email copy that they can use in outreach to their own customers, with the idea of trying to get them to book a demo. So it's like, hey, just to let you know, we've recently partnered with Gorgias, a best-in-class help desk solution. We really think that you'd be a great fit for them and they could help take your customer support to the next level. Here's information about them and here's why we think you should meet with them. So we give them that email copy. And then if the customer of theirs says yes, then we give them the second email copy, which is to actually broker and make that direct introduction, right? So we're basically making it almost impossible for a partner to say no to agreeing on this, but ultimately making it a lot easier to actually execute on this, which is the harder part.
Yeah, I love how you're making it so easy for partners to facilitate referrals with you. Are there any like specific results or success stories or examples that you can share that when you've done this process with new partners right off the bat?
For sure, and I'll keep it simple in terms of success metrics based on this type of process. The first metric is buy-in from partners to engage in this. Not all partners are willing to do this. A lot of, certainly leadership personnel might think, oh, that's a time-consuming exercise. We don't want our partner managers engaging in that. So I don't have a firm number on this, but I'll say the buy-in the opt-in rate or the buy-in rate from partners agreeing to engage in such an activity has gone through the roof, because it's like, why wouldn't you? It's kind of foolproof. But then the actual success of these account mapping or account-based marketing exchanges has definitely gone through the roof. And the metric there to track is, okay, when you reach out to 100 accounts, how many of them actually booked a demo with you, right? And whereas opposed to we might have been doing, say, 5 to 10% demo booking rate from an account-based marketing exchange, in the absence of this process, both the email templates plus Crossbeam data, now we're upwards of, say, 15 to 25%, right? And I'm telling you right now, if you're reaching out to 50 or 100 accounts for a given partnership and you're getting 15 to 25% demo booking rate, like that's a very, very healthy number. So it's made a big impact.
Play number 3, you're using Crossbeam Slack integration. Can you walk us through how you're actioning new overlaps with partners?
What I've walked you through in the previous plays were manual. Obviously, you're in a static sense, you're creating a list of target accounts, and that's great. Definitely a place for that. And so we wanted to figure out how we could basically accelerate this process and spice in a little bit of automation. And so with the Crossbeam Slack notification, what you can do is you can create a report and have notifications, meaning overlaps within 2 populations. So an example is our partners' customers matching up against our prospects, which have some filters applied to it. And so if there are new overlaps, meaning a new customer of our partners matches up with one of our prospects, it will create a notification in a shared Slack channel that we have with a partner, which then we can action because it'll have the account manager or the account executive tagged on that that notification. And so that'll populate into this shared Slack channel, which then makes it easy for our reps within the partnership to be proactive and say, oh, look, another good opportunity for us to refer one of our customers to Gorgias. And then we do the same as well, where we're getting notifications of our customers matching up against our partners' prospects, and then we can go ahead and reach out. And what you're seeing on the screen, it's a little bit busy on that Slack notification, but that's basically the first message I post into a new Crossbeam thread. And I literally have like a Crossbeam folder within my Slack channel for all my Crossbeam partnerships. And this is kind of like the outline of how this channel is going to function. You can see there's links for Google Docs that contain those email templates that I showed on the previous slide. I'm talking about, what type of notification is going to appear here, who owns what, and what to do when these come in. So this has really made a big impact on streamlining this account-based marketing approach, making it a lot faster.
When you run this process, I imagine, I mean, you have so many partners, you're not doing this with every single partner, you'd be here forever. How do you determine what partner or which life cycle stage a partnership is at to start doing this process?
For sure, there's a few things, and Amanda and I were on a great panel the other day about, with Pandium and the SaaS Ecosystem Alliance, talking about how do you balance, the value of a partnership from a product perspective, meaning the impact it has on your users, balancing that up against like commercial objectives, like what's the actual revenue opportunity. And so it's pretty simple. And to be honest, one of my favorite things about Crossbeam is how easy it is to size up and prospect a partnership, right? So some of the numbers we look at are how many mutual customers do we have, shows that we're playing in the same sandbox. How many customers does our partner have that is a prospect of ours and a good fit? And that kind of paints like the total addressable market for us within their ecosystem, and then we can get the same number for us. And so to your original question, Jasmine, like which partners do we engage in this with? It's the classic. It's the partners we have the strongest alliance with, if we have a great integration with them. And then ultimately the TAM, the market opportunity for both of us is so significant that it warrants this type of thing. Because for some smaller partners, like we would get very little, if any, notifications just because there's not enough overlap opportunity.
Yeah, and that makes sense. For this process in particular, are there any specific results or success stories that come to mind with partners that you've run this process with?
For sure. So on the previous slide, you're asking me about like success metrics for just that overall, like removing barriers for partners. And the metric I referenced there was like conversion rate on like how many demos you're getting per like outreach exchange. That number is, similar here, but with the metric that is impacted and benefited here is the volume of actual referrals, right? And so that has gone up easily, 30% in, referrals from partners based on this activity. Wow. We're not doing this with a ton of partners just yet. And as we're refining it, we're going to start to do this with more and more partners. We're expanding our team even further than we already have. And so to be honest, like that's the big thing here is actually having someone in a dedicated role within your partnership organization who can really own this. And so we're just getting started on that front. So we're expecting even more success with it.
Can you talk to us a little bit about the internal partner influence channel that you've set up for your team?
So far, we've been talking about effective strategies for sourcing net new opportunities, which definitely is what you're after the most. But a tremendous opportunity within partnerships is influencing. So and that's really how partnerships actually came to be in the first place. So having partners actually provide influence and push to help drive deals towards the finish line. And so again, because of the Crossbeam Slack notification integration, what we now have set up internally at Gorgias is this internal channel that our sales and partnership managers are in. And whenever any of our top pricing plan deals are created, we're having notifications show up that are basically telling us, hey, look, like one of your bigger deals overlaps with some of our partners, meaning that prospect of yours, yeah, they're working with some of the biggest partners in our space that we have a really good relationship with. So if your deal is stuck, then you should proactively reach out to these partners, which makes it really easy to do through Crossbeam, and get them to offer some influence to help drive this deal forward. And then to make this work really well, we provide we pin email copy sets in that channel for our AEs to use to reach out to partners because they don't always know what to say. And we also give them email copy to provide the partners themselves to actually reach out to that customer of theirs, which is a prospect of ours, to actually email them the copy. So again, giving our AEs the copy they need to reach out, and also arming our partners with email copy that they can use to actually reach out to try to offer that influence for us.
And your reps are facilitating those intros on their own, or are you kind of stepping in for certain cases?
Yeah, it's a good question. So our AEs are getting better and better and more comfortable with just reaching out because they're starting to like get familiarity with certain partners. If not, then obviously they'll reach out to us. But we're now going to start piping Crossbeam data actually into the UI, the user interface of our HubSpot instance, where now they'll just be able to see all of the partners that we have associated with them, and they'll kind of be able to just really streamline reaching out to a potential good partner to get influence from.
Is that through our HubSpot integration? That's what you're.
Correct.
Awesome. So I'm just curious, I think one thing that we always hear from other companies is, it's really hard to get my sales team on board or excited about partnerships. What kind of buy-in have you gotten from your sales team since implementing this process?
Yeah, the buy-in has been great. Obviously, whenever you come to them and say, "Hey, look, like, do you want us to potentially have an impact on your close rates and your sales cycle lengths?" They're like, "Sure." Like, what's the magic sauce there, right? And so obviously, it's never going to start off perfectly. You need to trial and error, and so really proving that it can work is the fastest way to get buy-in. But then also embedding it into like the onboarding cycle for any new sales rep, right? So it's like literally you're going to be trained obviously to learn about Gorgias first and foremost and some other things, but at some point you're also going to learn how to use Crossbeam and get partner influence from our partners, right? So if you want something to be adopted broadly at scale, it needs to be hardwired into the onboarding of new employees, right?
Definitely. Go ahead and walk us through the bonus play number 5.
There's a theme in this presentation. It's like we built something initially like a V1 of a playbook or a process, and then we figured out how we can make it even better. The previous slide, it's nice. It's passive notifications. It's like, hey, look, like here are your bigger deals, AEs, and here's the partners that prospect is working with. If you need to, you can reach out to them. Now we've said, okay, well, we want our AEs to be able to proactively tell us on the partnership team that they do need help, like their deals are stuck or they've actually gone dark, right? And so now we have this custom field within our deal level in HubSpot. It's called Request Partner Influence. And so now an AE, whenever they have a deal that's stuck, they can just hit the yes button on Request Partner Influence. It'll trigger this beautiful workflow where our partnership team will be alerted of that, all the details that we need. And then we have a partner development rep on our team who will go and check Crossbeam and say, okay, which of our partners are working with this prospect of ours that a deal is now stuck for? They'll pick the best partner to reach out to. They have email copy to use and outreach. They'll reach out to the partner and say, hey, we're stuck with so-and-so. We know they use you. We think a strong push from you could go a long way to helping us close this deal. Here's email copy you can use in reaching out to your customer to help unblock this for us. And then if they actually do that, the partner actually reaches out and offers this recommendation, and we can track that. Then we'll set this field at the deal level called partner influencer, where say a partner did push the deal and we did end up closing it, then that actually is baked into our attribution model. So this helps us really capture the full value of a partnership, where it's not just sourced and closed revenue, but what about influenced revenue, right? And that's a meaningful metric to track. So this is really making a big impact there.
Yeah, I know influence revenue is the hardest to track.
For sure.
This play in particular, it's so interesting to me how just in a couple of months you can almost see an evolution from play 1 to play 5, where you're moving from manual to reactive to now proactive. So kudos to you and the team for all of this success. It's so exciting to watch.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like we're trying to just keep up with Crossbeam's growth, right? One thing I admire about Crossbeam, which is cannot be said about every SaaS tool out there, is how receptive you are to your customers in terms of informing your product roadmap. Like I've had the fortune of speaking with your CEO and speaking with your VP of product, speaking with you and Amanda, for instance, and you really heed the advice.
Thank you all for joining us. Have a great afternoon.